My brothers, every man has flaws or undesirable qualities. Anger, impatience, competitiveness, anxiety, stubbornness, doubt. And many men live in denial, spending their lives trying to hide these qualities or pretending they don't exist. Now, psychologists call the undesirable qualities that we try to hide shadow traits. And they say denying or suppressing these shadow traits causes them to operate in the background, creating toxic behavior, mental health issues, compromised relationships, and self-sabotage. There's a better approach, though, my friends, instead of hiding or denying these qualities, and that is acknowledge them and embrace your less desirable qualities. Because here's a secret many people don't know. Your shadow traits are your superpowers turned inside out. Wise men understand this and use it to their advantage. Let me tell you a story. In ancient times, there was a tradition called alchemy. These early alchemists did several experiments, thinking that they could turn lead into gold. They never achieved this, but their experiences and experiments led to many of the first major achievements of modern science. But there's a much deeper symbolic meaning to alchemy. Trying to turn lead into gold represents taking something normal and converting it into something of great value. In other words, we begin as lead, something rough, unrefined, and imperfect. And throughout our lives, we work to turn it into something powerful and precious. My brothers, that is the real lesson. Each man carries his own version of lead within him. These are your flaws, your weaknesses, your negative qualities, and the things that you try to deny or hide. But those very qualities are also raw material. And if you refine them with discipline and knowledge and humility, they can become some of your greatest strengths and assets. So instead of denying or running away from your flaws, learn to embrace them, acknowledge them, and deliberately transform those negative qualities into positive ones. You'll be surprised to know that many of the most famous and accomplished men in the world have done just that. Today, I'm going to identify 10 common shadow qualities and the superpowers they represent and can become if you do the necessary work. Impatience. Impatience is often viewed as a weakness, but impatience is also a type of energy. It comes from a desire to see things get done. Men who learn to control that energy develop a sense of urgency. They take action while others hesitate. They'll start the business. They'll learn the skill. They'll make that phone call. Instead of allowing impatience to create frustration and work against you, direct it productively. Used correctly, impatience becomes forward momentum. Stubbornness. Most of us have been told that stubbornness is a flaw, and it is. And stubbornness can be destructive when it's focused on ego or pointless arguments or the inability to be flexible in our thinking. However, stubbornness also represents something else important. It means you are resistant to giving up. When that quality is aimed at meaningful goals, stubbornness becomes persistence. Persistence allows a man to stay focused when progress is slow, when they don't see results or applause. It allows him to continue when others lose motivation. Every successful man possesses a form of disciplined stubbornness. Without it, long-term achievement is impossible. Anxiety. Some men constantly think about every possible thing that could go wrong. What if they don't like it? What if I don't get the money? What if it doesn't work? They replay problems in their mind and imagine every worst-case scenario. Left uncontrolled, this is called anxiety. And anxiety is crippling. But when directed properly, that same quality becomes preparation. A man who anticipates problems can plan for them. So he takes that anxiety and he turns it into research before making decisions. He prepares before opportunities arrive. Instead of allowing his worry to create fear, he turns it into strategic thinking. Preparation turns uncertainty into confidence. Anger is one of the strongest emotions a man can experience. Uncontrolled anger destroys relationships, careers, and reputations. Anger is a form of energy, and when disciplined, that energy can become very controlled power. It becomes the drive to correct injustice. It becomes the courage to confront disrespect. It becomes the determination to improve your life no matter what obstacles are in your path. The key is to control that anger and transmute it or change it. A disciplined man will never quite eliminate his anger, but he will channel and direct it. Pride. Pride often receives negative attention in the sense that it's associated with being arrogant. But the absence of pride creates a whole different problem, doesn't it? A man with no pride accepts poor treatment, has low standards, tolerates disrespect. Healthy pride becomes self-respect. Self-respect gives a man boundaries. It reminds him that his values matter and that he, in fact, is valuable, so he doesn't accept less than what he's worth. When we balance that pride with humility, it becomes unwavering confidence instead of arrogance. Perfectionism. Perfectionism can prevent people from taking action and moving forward. They delay projects, hesitate to take risks, and wait for conditions to be, well, perfect. It's an illusion, of course, because conditions will never be perfect. And the underlying desire behind perfectionism is a commitment to quality. When guided correctly, perfectionism becomes this pursuit of excellence. Instead of demanding perfection before taking action, a wise man uses that trait to improve. He studies his craft. He refines his work. He continues learning. Excellence is simply disciplined improvement over time. Skepticism. Some men question everything and everyone. They doubt what people say, and they remain very cautious in their trust. When taken too far, this attitude can damage relationships. But skepticism also protects you. It encourages critical thinking. It prevents you from making hasty or irrational decisions that you have to reverse later. When balanced with openness, skepticism becomes discernment, one of the key traits of being wise. Discernment allows a man to observe carefully, listen attentively, and evaluate situations wisely. Laziness. Laziness is often associated with avoiding effort, being resistant to getting up, getting out, and getting something, to doing work. But there's another way to look at that. Sometimes what people call laziness is actually a resistance to doing unnecessary work. When disciplined and looked at correctly, this mindset encourages efficiency. A man who values efficiency focuses on completing the most important task. He removes distractions. He simplifies complicated systems. He looks for smarter ways instead of wasting energy. Efficiency allows for progress without exhaustion. Shyness. Quiet men are often very much underestimated, but silence can be very powerful. A quiet man has the capability of observing. He listens. He studies the behavior of others, and that observation develops supreme awareness. Awareness develops understanding, and understanding allows a man to make better decisions about people and situations. The ability to observe before acting is a superpower and a powerful advantage. Fear. Fear is often misunderstood, but we all have fears. And fear is not simply to be seen as a weakness. Fear is a signal. It alerts you to risk and uncertainty and not being safe. When a man ignores fear, he behaves recklessly. When he embraces and studies fear, he becomes aware. He does things to ensure his safety and that of his loved one. So he takes that fear and he converts it into what? Martial arts, firearms training, weightlifting and exercise, saving and investing so he's not broke, studying so he's not ignorant. And as he does these things to create safety and overcome the fear, guess what happens? He actually develops courage. My brothers, every man carries weaknesses. Don't let people try to make you feel small because you have weaknesses. When they call your weakness out, say, you're right. You're absolutely right. But in your mind, think, but I'm working to transmute that weakness into a superpower. Weakness does not have to define or control you. The lesson of alchemy reminds us that transformation from lead to gold is possible. Flaws can become strengths. Anger can become controlled power. Impatience can become urgency. Fear can become courage. The key is awareness, transparency with yourself, and discipline. Instead of denying your negative qualities, embrace them, examine them, understand them, and reshape them to transform yourself into a better man. Every man has lead within him, but the men who are honest about their shortcomings, who do the work on themselves, are the men who will turn that lead into gold. And that transformation is what separates most men from wise OGs. Choose transformation, my brothers. Wise OG out.